Have you ever felt it? That moment of silence amidst the vast ocean, where every wave crashing against the shore is not just the sound of water, but a whisper from the universe. Elon Musk stood in the middle of the boundless space, looking out at the sea. But within him, the storm never ceased to rise. He had conquered countless heights. Success and fame had come to him. Yet, something was still missing. An invisible gap that could not be seen but was clearly felt deep inside. Those around him saw a resilient man, a great inventor. But deep within, he felt like a solitary traveler on an endless journey. He sought something greater than personal achievements, a connection, an answer. Then, one mysterious evening, as the sunset cast a soft, golden layer over the sea, he wondered, in the silence of the universe, was anyone listening? God, are you there? That question slipped from his lips, as light as a breeze but filled with deep meaning. At that moment, the world seemed to stop. The silence was unlike anything he had ever known. Elon stood there, in an empty space. But something invisible, something silent, made him freeze. He didn't see any strange light or hear a booming voice. But that feeling, a powerful presence, soaked through him, as if an invisible hand were comforting his heart. I am here. The whisper felt like an answer from the universe. Not from outside, but from deep within himself. Elon opened his eyes. He couldn't fully understand what had just happened. Was it real? Or was it just a dream? But one thing was clear, that moment had changed him forever. And the greater question still lingered in his mind, was what had just happened a reminder from a higher power? Or just the strange workings of his own mind? The scene in the cafe was calm, like stillness before a storm. The soft, golden lights from the lamps cast a gentle glow on the wooden tables, creating an unusually warm atmosphere. Elon sat across from Lily, a rare friend he felt he could share his deepest, hidden thoughts with. The air between them suddenly became heavy, as if there was something unspoken, something so immense, uncomfortable enough that he could no longer live in silence. Elon looked down at his coffee cup, his hands slightly trembling, perhaps due to the thoughts he had kept bottled up for so long. He took a deep breath, as if trying to gather the strength to make a brave step forward. Finally, he spoke, his voice deep but hesitant, as if not knowing whether this question might ruin everything. Lily, what do you think about the existence of something greater than all we know? Something that can't be explained by reason? Lily, not surprised but a little confused, stared at him for a long moment. Elon, the man the world saw as a symbol of certainty, the one always questioning, always looking at the truth through the lens of science, was now speaking about things that couldn't be seen, couldn't be verified. Lily didn't rush to answer. She sensed that this was a special moment, a moment where Elon was revealing doubts he had never shown before. So, do you really believe that something like this exists? Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly in the quiet space of the cafe. Elon furrowed his brow, as if searching for the right words to express the indescribable feeling. His lips pressed together. His gaze turned toward the window where the leaves outside danced in the wind. But in reality, he wasn't seeing anything at all. His mind was immersed in the vague emotions swirling inside him. It's not that I want to believe, it's that I've felt something. Something very powerful. Indescribable. But it keeps haunting me. As if someone is watching over me. Listening to me. Right here. Right now, Elon whispered, his eyes lighting up as though reliving that moment. The moment that made his heart stop and think. Lily sat silently, her mind swirling with chaotic thoughts. She didn't rush to make any conclusions because she understood that sometimes there are things in life that don't need to be explained right away. We just need to feel. And then one day, everything will become clear. Elon, you know, in those moments when everything around is silent, When the mind is no longer caught up in tangled thoughts. Many people feel the presence of something greater, Lily said gently, her voice full of understanding. It could be a flash of light, a sign that you can only see when you truly open your heart. Elon looked at her, silent for a moment. Lily's words echoed in his mind, as if painting a new picture of the world, a picture not only filled with theories, equations, but also with things that couldn't be explained. But why me? He murmured. A person who has lived his whole life with logic, who only seeks scientific answers. Why am I feeling this? Why is it coming to me? Lily didn't answer right away. She just looked at him, her eyes sparkling as if trying to convey something that words couldn't replace. Finally, she spoke, softly but firmly. God doesn't choose people the way we think. He doesn't look at the past or what people have done. He comes to those who are truly seeking, those who can hear, even just a gentle whisper. Elon felt a chill run down his spine, like an invisible wind that he couldn't touch. Those words struck him like a hammer, waking up thoughts he had long avoided. Had he been searching for so long without realizing this? Part of him felt that the truth was too unbelievable. But another part of him wanted to believe, as if this was what he had been searching for his whole life. Maybe I've been so caught up in searching for answers in science that I forgot there are things that can't be explained by the mind, Elon whispered, his gaze drifting toward the window where the stars twinkled like thousands of unanswered questions. Lily didn't say anything more. She just looked at him with a comforting gaze. The air around them seemed to still, and Elon felt a warm light from outside shining into his heart. He couldn't be sure about everything he had just heard, but he knew that the moment on the beach was not just a dream. It had really happened. And that, no matter how hard to understand, made him see his life in an entirely new way. One quiet night, Elon sat in the vast darkness, in a space so immense, where the stars twinkled like distant flames whispering the stories of the universe. He looked up, as if hoping to see a sign, something beyond the ordinary. And then, a strange feeling spread through him. A feeling not of a human, but of a soul being touched. Though he didn't hear a word, every cell in his body soaked in a deep comfort. A presence that he couldn't explain. It was like a gentle breath caressing his soul. Without words, but enough for him to feel. That feeling, though invisible, was so powerful that he could sense the warmth surrounding him. Everything will be fine, that feeling seemed to say. Tears silently welled up in Elon's eyes, not because of pain or despair, but because of a sudden release. A profound peace he hadn't felt in a long time. Despite having everything in his hands, achievements, wealth, fame, his heart had still been empty. And now, for the first time in his life, he felt he was not alone among the crowd. He felt he was a part of something greater, something that could not be measured by success or failure. Thank you, he whispered in the dark, not knowing if anyone could hear. But in that moment, he didn't need anyone to hear. He just needed to feel that presence, to believe in it, and that was enough. After that night, Elon's life seemed to be turned upside down. His thoughts, his desires, suddenly became strange. He no longer cared about proving himself, nor did he seek new heights in his career. Instead, something deeper began to grow within him. A longing to search for something that couldn't be seen with the eyes but could be felt with the heart. Every morning, when people were still deep in sleep, he woke up early, stepping outside to immerse himself in the stillness. There was no sound except for the soft wind and the rustling of the leaves. He didn't know what he was searching for, but there was a deep belief within him that, if he were patient enough, something would come. One morning, when the dawn began to tint the sky with shades of pink and purple, a sudden feeling surged within him, as though an invisible force was pulling him towards something unclear. Listen, that feeling whispered. Listen carefully. Elon closed his eyes, still, completely ignoring the world around him, to focus on the silence. At first, there was only the quiet of the space. But soon, he felt something very familiar, like a small flame burning brightly in his soul. But this time, it wasn't just comfort. It was a message, clear and strong. You were born with a purpose. Everything you have is part of a greater plan. Elon's heart beat faster, as if his body was responding to those words. He didn't understand everything, but he felt that this was something beyond the achievements he had built. His purpose wasn't just material success or fame. It was something greater. A connection to something that couldn't be expressed in words, yet was clear enough that he couldn't ignore it. The sky gradually brightened before his eyes, as if all the questions within him suddenly became clearer. Though not yet fully answered, Elon knew that what he was searching for was not a specific destination. It was a journey to understand that he was a part of a vast universe, and he was born to do something that he couldn't yet fully know. That whole day, Elon's mind felt like it had wandered into a labyrinth, with no way out. He had once believed that his life was meant to explore the mysteries of technology, to change the world with great inventions. But now, a question kept haunting him: is that all? Every morning upon waking, the feeling of unease would rise within him. He had everything a person could desire: fame, wealth, power, but why did that emptiness keep surrounding him? How far had he truly come, if everything was just the endless pursuit of goals that never stopped? One night, as darkness enveloped the city, Elon couldn't find sleep. He walked around his room as if trying to solve a complex equation, but the answer kept eluding him. The questions, the thoughts intertwined, as if there was something he had overlooked. They lingered in his mind, urging him to search, to seek something beyond what he already knew. Then, one evening, when the yellowish lights reflected on the damp ground after the rain, Elon decided to leave the office. It was a simple gesture, but this time, he wasn't in a hurry like usual. He stopped when he saw a figure sitting silently on the bench in the park. The girl sat as if she didn't belong to this world, her shoulders hunched, as if carrying an invisible burden. Elon couldn't ignore her. He walked closer, his eyes never leaving her. "Sorry. Do you need help?" His voice was soft and gentle, unlike how he usually spoke in tense discussions. The girl lifted her head, her gaze sorrowful yet carrying a strange understanding. "I have nothing left," she replied, her voice low, carrying an exhaustion that could not be hidden. "Work, family, everything, it's all gone." Elon felt a pain in her words, as if his own heart was being twisted. A wave of empathy rose strongly within him. He had seen poverty, the darkness in the eyes of those who had lost everything. But never had he felt such despair as he did now. She wasn't just a stranger, she was the embodiment of everything he had never had to face directly. The pain he couldn't solve with logic. He stood there silently, not knowing what to do. But then, old reminders echoed in his mind, like a call from deep within his heart: not everything you have is meant to serve yourself. Finally, without hesitation, he sat down beside the girl. "You don't have to go through this alone," he said, his voice gentle but firm. The girl looked at him, her surprise slowly replacing the doubt. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We don't know each other." Elon looked into her eyes, a soft smile appearing on his lips. "I don't think everything in life happens by chance. There's a reason I'm here with you right now." Suddenly, everything seemed to light up in Elon's mind. He realized that his mission was not just about technological breakthroughs or the empires he had built. His mission was to help those who needed him, to use the gifts he had received to change the lives of others, even if just a little. This was the true purpose. Not personal achievements, but small actions that could make a big difference. He looked at the girl, her eyes lighting up in surprise. Elon felt that he no longer needed to search for a grand reason to exist. Life was not just about success, it was about giving, about sharing love with those around us. In the days that followed, every encounter Elon had with strangers became a small turning point in his journey. Every glance, every word left an impression in his mind. He no longer saw the world as before, just a series of problems to be solved. But now it became a vast space, where each person carried their own story, a soul that needed to be understood and shared. One late afternoon, as he sat thoughtfully looking out the window, a question suddenly appeared in his mind. Can we change someone's life with just one small action? One kind word? This was a question he had never thought of before. And now, it felt like a new current, guiding him in a completely different direction. Elon no longer focused on how to create great products or solve technological problems. Instead, he began to stop, to pay attention to what was around him. He opened his heart to the people he met in daily life, from old friends to strangers on the street. Small gestures, like helping a mother carry her child, or spending a few minutes listening to someone having a bad day, became moments full of meaning for him. He felt like he was reconnecting with the essence of being human, with a part of himself he had long forgotten. Elon's family and friends noticed this change in him clearly. They saw that he was no longer consumed by grand plans or long meetings. He became more approachable, having deeper conversations and listening to others more. Every time he appeared, he was no longer the image of a cold man, but a man living true to his emotions and heart. One evening, as the darkness enveloped the room, Elon sank into his own thoughts. Once again, he felt a gentle comfort, like a whisper from a distant place. You are on the right path. Never stop. Those words soothed him like a warm breeze, reminding him of the most important thing he had found in life: connection, sharing, and kindness. Now, Elon knew that he could not keep this message to himself. He felt a strong urge to share his experience with the world, not from the perspective of a billionaire, but from the heart of a man who had found a purpose greater than anything he had ever pursued. When he stood before the crowd, he was no longer just Elon Musk, a man focused solely on his career, but a man sharing what he had learned from life. Each of us has something wonderful, special abilities, and opportunities that we can bring to the world. But the important thing is that we do not keep them to ourselves. Let's use them to change the lives of others, to create a community that is connected and full of love, he said. And those words echoed in the air, touching the heart of each person. When Elon stopped after his speech, he quietly looked at the crowd around him, their gazes directed at him like lights in the dark. A strange and powerful feeling rose in his heart, as if an invisible force was guiding him step by step. You've done well, a voice echoed in his mind, soft yet firm. It's time for you to move on, love, and share. Elon took a deep breath, a strange sense of peace filling his heart. Though he couldn't see the future clearly, he felt that he was no longer alone. A power of some sort was walking with him on this path. In the days that followed, there wasn't a moment when Elon didn't feel like an invisible pull was guiding him forward. Every decision he made, every word he spoke, carried an indescribable urgency. It was as if he was being pulled forward, as if the universe had a plan he hadn't fully understood yet. And perhaps he had found the answer he had been searching for all this time. One evening, when the night had fallen and the lights in the office were dimming, Elon sat quietly by the window. He looked up at the starry sky, his thoughts drifting back to that moment, the moment when the voice within him first spoke. He still couldn't fully comprehend its meaning. Was it a permanent guidance, or just a fleeting moment of awakening? Those questions still lingered in his mind. Suddenly, the door opened gently, and a warm voice called his name from the hallway. Elon. Are you okay? Lily, his longtime assistant, entered the room. She was not just a support for his work but also a close friend. A part of his life. Elon turned around, offering a faint smile, but one that held a calmness he had never had before. I'm just thinking about what has happened. Lily, he said, his voice deep and thoughtful. About the moment everything changed. Lily looked at him, her eyes full of concern. Do you want to talk about the day you heard that voice inside you? Elon nodded, his gaze lost in thought. Yes. It was a special moment. That day, I heard a voice, and I felt the presence of something greater than myself. Since then, I've always felt that I wasn't alone. But now, I have this feeling that I need to do something even bigger. Lily sat down near him, saying nothing. But it was clear she was trying to absorb the change in him. She knew Elon had always been a man of reason, of science, of physical discoveries. But now, he was speaking about things that went beyond that. So, what do you think you need to do next? Lily asked, her voice gentle, like an invitation for him to voice the thoughts hidden in his heart. Elon stood up, his eyes gazing into the distance, where the dark sky opened up countless questions. I think I've found a purpose. Not just in work but in life. There's a reason why I'm here. Why I have these opportunities. And I have to do something with them. I feel like I've been given a mission. To not only help people but to convey a message about connection. About a powerful force that is guiding us. Even when we cannot see it. Lily remained silent, her eyes filled with sorrow but also full of empathy. She could see that Elon was undergoing a profound transformation within his soul. He was no longer the cold man, obsessed only with technology. You're talking about something bigger than science, aren't you? Lily asked, her voice full of curiosity and a thirst for understanding. Elon turned back to look at her, his eyes lighting up with determination. Yes. And I feel like I can't keep this to myself. The world needs to hear this message. No matter how difficult it may be. I believe this is my mission. Lily looked at him, her eyes filled with respect and resolve. I don't know what you're going to do, but I believe you're heading in the right direction. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'm ready to stand by your side. Elon smiled. This time his smile warm and full of gratitude. Thank you, Lily. But this path is mine to walk. I can only walk it alone. However, I know that if I do it right, there will be people like you willing to share this journey with me. He turned again, his eyes looking into the distance. Although he couldn't see the road clearly, he felt certain that it was unfolding ahead of him, and the message he carried within him would echo throughout the world. In the quiet darkness of the night, Elon stopped beneath a tree, breathing deeply to feel the space around him. His footsteps echoed in the empty park, but the space seemed to be enveloped by the silence of unspoken thoughts. A strange feeling rose within him, as if he were standing at a crossroads of an important decision, even though he didn't yet know exactly where to go. Over the years, he had conquered the heights of his career, gaining fame and power that many dreamed of. But suddenly, a big question arose within him. Do all these things really matter? A part of him felt empty, as if there were a deep void inside that nothing could fill, even though he had everything that society considered success. His steps slowed, and as he stopped near a bench in the park, a thought suddenly appeared, clear and powerful, as if an energy source was inspiring him. What if I write something? Something sincere. Something that could touch the hearts of others, he told himself. He decided not to hesitate any longer. At this moment, it wasn't grand promises or dry theories that would have the power to change things. Only the truth, only trust, could connect him with those around him, with souls yearning for peace and change. returning home with a heart full of determination. Elon sat down at his desk. The feeling he had now wasn't the exhaustion from a long day of work, but a powerful urge to write down his thoughts. Each key press on the keyboard felt like a heartbeat, as if he no longer felt alone. This world. I don't write to spread theories, nor to seek agreement. I write to share something that I'm certain can change everything. We are never alone in this world. Whether you see it or not, there is a force, an invisible strength that is guiding us. Step by step. Day by day. Elon paused, reflecting. He felt his eyes blur. But not from exhaustion. He simply felt that, although these thoughts might be difficult for others to understand, they were clear and true to him. Each of us has a reason to exist. That reason is love, is sharing, is becoming the best version of ourselves. He looked at the screen, then continued. We are not separate individuals, we are parts of a greater existence. An unseen connection, but one stronger than all. Stop not to wait, but to act right now. When the letter was finished, a sense of relief washed over him. Something within him felt liberated, not just because of the letter, but because he had found peace in the very words he had written. It wasn't a message to argue or to convince, but a sincere sharing. Just then, Lily entered the room. She saw Elon sitting still, his eyes fixed on the screen, as though he had just stepped out of another world. She gently asked, "What are you doing?" Elon turned to look at her. A soft but determined smile appeared on his face. I just wrote a letter. A letter not just to others, but also to myself. Lily raised an eyebrow. Curious. A letter? What's it about? Elon looked at the screen, his eyes lighting up. I want the world to know that we are not alone. There is an invisible source of strength, and we are guided by it. Don't wait until tomorrow, because the time to create change is now. Lily was silent. Her eyes seemed to understand everything Elon had just said. You really believe in this, don't you? Elon nodded, then looked out the window. Yes, and I believe that one day, everyone will feel it the way I do. Elon sat there, staring at the computer screen in silence. The letter was complete, but his heart still beat strong, as if each word in it carried a part of his own life. He thought about all that he had learned, the journeys he had taken, and the twists he had overcome, only to finally realize that all the things he had pursued were not the most enduring. Material success may come and go, but the only thing that remains is the deep connection with oneself and with those around him. Lily stood nearby, her gaze warm and understanding, as if she had realized that Elon wasn't just writing a letter to others, but to confront himself. After a long moment, she broke the silence. What are you going to do with this letter? Elon turned to look at her, his eyes filled not with worry, but with belief. I'm going to send it out to the world. Not to change anyone, but to share what I've discovered. Maybe no one will hear it right away, but I believe in one thing, we all can be part of the change, if we start with ourselves. Lily smiled, sensing the steadiness in each word Elon spoke. She knew that this letter wasn't just a simple step, but a strong commitment. A commitment not to the world, but to himself. To live truthfully, to love and serve, to become the person he always wanted to be. And so, Elon decided to share that letter. He didn't need to seek acceptance or agreement. He just needed to pour his deepest thoughts and feelings into it, and let the world recognize it. Not everyone who reads it will understand immediately, but his message would live on, inspiring those who are ready to listen. The letter was not just a reminder of connection, but also a promise that we will never have to walk alone, even in our hardest moments. When we feel left behind, we can still find faith in ourselves and the world around us. And from there, change can begin. Change is not something to search for out there, it is something that must begin from within each of us. The road ahead won't be easy. There will be times when Elon feels tired, times when he faces doubt from both himself and others. But he knows that in those moments, he will find the strength to keep going. And when he steps out into the world, he will no longer be walking alone. He will always feel the presence of an invisible force guiding him, helping him overcome every challenge. Because, in the end, he has found the most important thing: love, peace, and belief in himself. Elon's story is not a story about a great man. It's a story about a person who found strength within himself to face the world and create change. And each of us, whether big or small, can begin that journey. So, don't wait. Don't wait to find the perfect path. Start now. Because every day is an opportunity to make this world a better place. If you've felt that this story inspires you and touches your heart, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more interesting and meaningful stories in the future. Share the video with your friends and family, because we believe that every story can be a great source of encouragement for someone. Let's spread positive messages and create change from the simplest things. Note, this is a fictional story, created for entertainment purposes and to convey meaningful messages about life, love, and self-discovery. Any resemblance to actual events or persons is purely coincidental. We are not responsible for any impact this story may have on viewers.